Happy Monday, everyone, and happy Earth Day 2024. This week, I wanted to share some Earth Day musings and potential future readings with you. So, we've been celebrating Earth Day for over 50 years and pulling together people from diverse political, socioeconomic, and cultural backgrounds to support protection of our environment and helping to recognize the adverse impacts to our shared environment and to human health from basically about 2 centuries of industrial development. Also, to emphasize our shared common goals of clean air, clean water, and prevention of the loss of more wilderness and the continued extinction of our plant and wildlife species, and to minimize and eliminate and mitigate pollution associated with oil spills and power plants and factory emissions and discharges, raw sewage, toxic dumping, pesticides, and pollution associated with, and habitat fragmentation associated with development and freeways, and to address climate change. So there are lots of things to think about, and I wanted to share some authors and some ideas and some potential future readings, things that have really shaped my perspective, things that I had to read in school or was taught about, and basically have helped kind of form who I am today and how I came to be the owner of a nature store and doing these environmental education posts for all of you. So first, I want to return to a book I mentioned last week, Placing Nature, Culture, and Landscape Ecology, edited by one of my past landscape architecture professors, Joan Nassauer. And this is from chapter 1 by Evel Gorham. And it basically talks about these two main opposing views of nature and humans' place in it. And this is from Donald Worster, an environmental historian, from his book Nature's Economy. And he basically divides them into two opposing views: that of the Arcadians, people who see nature as an unspoiled paradise where humans, as much as possible, live in harmony with all other Earth inhabitants, compared to utilitarians, where nature is simply a collection of resources to be used for the benefit of humans. Then social scientist Brian Norton further subdivides these categories into alternative cultural views. So the utilitarians divided into the exploiters, so humans that believe all resources, even renewable resources like our forest ecosystems, our prairies, our wetlands, they will remain abundantly available, or scientific and technological advances will come along and will serve as decent enough substitutes. So resources can be used up to meet economic and material goals. The second subcategory are conservative users. So people who believe renewable resources should not be used up, but can be managed and used sustainably to benefit humans. And then the Arcadians group or viewpoint is divided into the naturalists, who feel that because of our lack of ecological knowledge and understanding, management of renewable resources solely for human benefit is likely to come up short and may still lead to the loss of ecosystem integrity, especially in times of severe environmental stress. So This viewpoint promotes the cautious adaptive management of our ecosystems with lots of monitoring and changes to management as needed. So basically the motto, if you don't know, go slow. And the second Arcadian subgroup are the preservers, who believe all species have the right to exist, and humans do not have the right to cause their extinction, especially to meet short-term economic and material goals. They live by the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And both the naturalists and preservers' viewpoints advocate for national parks and wilderness to be set aside to save the biodiversity of Earth species and maintain and protect the ecological functions of the biosphere. And then from the forest ecology side of my education, Bert Barnes, one of my professors of woody plants and forest ecology, advanced forest ecology, he had us read Stan Rowe, who was a geoecologist and environmental ethicist, a Canadian professor who wrote Home Place, Essays on Ecology, and Earth Alive. Bert also had us read A Manifesto for Earth by Ted Mosquin and Stan Rowe. And in all of these readings, there is a repeating theme that we have placed the importance of our species as humans above all else, and that we have taken a biocentric or species-focused view, and that being anthropocentric view, so concerned only for human interests and welfare, and have applied that to species management and how we go about living our lives. And we've not taken the more important eco-centric view or home-centered focus, where the ecosphere or the planet Earth, is the life-giving and life-sustaining force, and our place in it is as citizens dependent upon Earth's diverse ecosystems. And all of these readings were preceded by my very first undergrad class in natural resources, ecology, and management, where we read A Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. He's often considered the modern day father of conservation, and especially the concluding chapter of that book, The Land Ethic. And I wanted to read you a quote out of that. So a land ethic, of course, cannot prevent the alteration, management, and use of these resources, but it does affirm their right to continued existence and, at least in spots, their continued existence in a natural state. In short, a land ethic changes the role of Homo sapiens from conqueror of the land community to plain member and citizen of it. It implies respect for his fellow members and also respect for the community as such. So you can see and hear these themes overlapping and intertwining. And then as a professional environmental consultant, attending different conferences, listening to different speakers, like attending the Wildlife Habitat Council's Conservation Conference, I encountered Doug Tallamy, a professor and entomologist, and a huge promoter of the use of native plants in our everyday landscapes. He is the author of Nature's Best Hope and Bringing Nature Home, among other very interesting books, and co-founder of a grassroots call to action group, the Homegrown National Park. And they are promoting the importance of native plants and productive ecosystems in our residential and business landscapes, and that we can take action to regenerate biodiversity and ecosystem function. We can't do it with just our public lands set aside alone. We need to be taking action in our own landscapes. And then just recently, I listened to a webinar given by Robin Wall-Kimmerer, and this was for University of Wisconsin and the Wild Ones, a nonprofit organization entitled Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants in mid-March. And Robin is the author of books Braiding Sweetgrass and Gathering Moss, and she has become this very important bridge and interpreter between traditional ecological knowledge and Western science. And more of this recurring theme. She spoke about land not as property to be used, but land as home and as the residence of our non-human relatives, other earth-dwelling organisms. Land as the source of knowledge, as healer, as sacred, and as our moral responsibility. And she talked about all earth beings and how we should really consider them as our kin, and what would the world be like? What would life on earth be like if we treated them as we would our own family? And she had a number of slides about, what does earth ask of us? And some of her thoughts there were that we need to be better students of earth, of our own kin, plants, and other earth-dwelling beings, that we need to pay attention, that we need to know their names and understand how everything is connected, that we need to be respectful and raise good, respectful children, raise a garden, and raise a ruckus on behalf of the earth and its dwellers. So I hope that in sharing these Earth Day musings, some of my favorite readings, that this inspires you to join the ranks of the naturalists and preservers, to learn more and explore new eco-centric perspectives, and take the time this Earth Day and in future days to consider your role as student, steward, and responsible and ethical citizen of our collective home place. If you have other readings that you really like, I'd be glad to hear about them. Take care and have a good week.